Yeah,
Just
in the app.
Yeah.
And if you've ever done anything like in Vistaprint or you're like creating your own whatever, it's very similar. I mean, you're just pulling things in and moving things. I made this up today, just kind of went in my head through all the steps and different features of what you may use. There are some buttons and things on here that I've never messed with, so forgive me if you ask what it is, I may not know. Some things are an upgrade. I think you have to pay for a better account for some of these things. But I do a ton with what I do, so it must be enough, and I don't spend anything. So that is wonderful. Okay, so we are gonna make some just funky, fresh designs and mess around and just play. So when you open up Canva.com, yours will not look like this because you will not have thousands of things underneath, right? This is what mine looks like. And there are folders I'll show you, which I do not use, but life would be a lot cleaner if I used them. But I am just so used to looking for my items on my own, so I'm good with that. When you open it, it'll just have this banner at the top for the first time, okay? So choose from stock sizes is my first thing. As you can see on the top, can we see okay? Yeah. US letters, very popular, 8.5 by 11, that's how I make all my flyers. All these things are already in the right pixels and the right inches for what you're trying to do. If you click more, there are a kabillion of them. All these things are already made in sizes. Okay, all the way down to creating a logo you can do in here, which I'm not sure why that's a specific size, but you can see business cards, gift certificates, a lot of these things are already in here. Okay, the most popular ones obviously are at the top. US letter, like I said, Facebook post, Facebook ad, all of those. In the old days, you had to know what the pixels were for a Facebook ad, right? And then do it yourself. But you see my next thing says custom dimensions. This is pretty neat too. Gosh, why am I doing that so much? Like when I took over making signature banners for my home group, I don't do it totally, but I can do them. I went in, took an old one, found out what the pixels were, right? And then I went in here and used custom, so it would be exactly the same size. So if you do know something specific, for instance, the images on these TVs, the intern that's been working here figured out the correct pixels that fits the TV perfectly, then he creates them in Canva. So kind of neat that you can use custom. When you're using custom, you can do it in terms of pixels, millimeters, or inches. So I have yet to learn how to get an 8.5 and 11 landscape. So when I do need it, I use custom and plug in 8.5 by 11, right? So that's my trick. For the few times, if you try to rotate a design, it doesn't. So there might be an answer, but for me, it's been easy enough just to use custom dimensions. Okay? All right, so let's go in and just do flyer size. It does open up a new tab, so you could go back to your original tab and be working on multiple things at one time. I'm going to mess around in no particular order with some ideas. So right now we're obviously blank. One thing you can start with, there's many places to start, backgrounds. You can change the color, obviously with the palette on the left, and then all these designs over here. See all the frees? When we get into images, you'll see most are free, and then many start to say $1. Okay, so if you choose something that costs $1, it's 24 hours long. It will last you for that $1. Meaning that if I download it now, I pay my $1, and then I'm like, oh gosh, I want to edit it, I can do it again later. I can keep messing with it. If I wait 2 days, it's going to charge me another $1 for that image.
That's cool.
I personally, when we get down to images, you see on your handout, the word Google, more popular than Canva for me. I would Google a background. I'd bring it in. I don't really use Canva's images, okay? If you find a free one and it's super quick and easy, why not? I mean, if you're dying for a fishy background for your flyer, there it is for free, right? Because most of us want fishy backgrounds for our real estate and career.
How do you bring it in from Google?
I would just go to Google, save the image on my desktop, and then you can drag an image into here. So I just went ahead of myself because we're on backgrounds, not images, but I'll get to that in just a sec. But the neat thing with backgrounds is they're just some stuff to play with. Okay?
And could you play with the $1 one without actually buying it right away?
Yes, it's going to have a watermark.
Oh, got it. Okay.
See in the middle, and X's.
Okay.
So, and I've used them before. It kind of gets in your way. It's annoying. Or like, one time we had a flyer. It was cute. It had a sign in the yard with the sign blank. So I could write whatever class it was in the sign. And to me, it was worth $1. But every time if I have a class 4 months later, I pay the $1 again. I mean, it's a no biggie. And you probably could find that same sign in Google. Or there's other places to Google, I use the word Google like it's just a verb, other places to look up photos where they're all free and available to you.
So if you buy it for $1, it's not yours forever.
No, 24 hours.
Okay.
It'll stay there. Like next time you go to edit it in 4 months, it's there. But when you go to download, it'll ask you for $1 again. But I promise you, every one of these images you can find elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. So backgrounds, pretty cool. Backgrounds, I believe, can be, well, I didn't really put this on my handout, but you see how when I clicked on the background, it made a box with the 4 corners, right? You probably recognize this as being shrinkable, expandable. So you could just do a portion, right? Sometimes when you're making a flyer, that's aesthetically pleasing. Maybe your information would be at the top, or maybe do it the opposite. Your home's going to be up there and your information at the bottom. So you do have the capability of shrinking and expanding. I mean, background, probably not as often would you do that, but maybe. You want it like this, but you want it, let's see if I did red now. It would cover the whole, oh, it did it like that. That's pretty neat. Yeah. Another way too, and I guess I'm just going to keep messing around with this. If it didn't create the red on the top and bottom like I wanted it to, you can go in and create a shape. I can create a rectangle in red, drag it, and fill in that spot. So I have sometimes just used shapes to give me different levels to write in, you know. And even if this, well, it's not, even if the rectangle were too big and dragged off the edge, your 8.5 by 11 still was just 8.5 by 11. So you can be a little bit messy on all that. So kind of neat. This is a head. I wasn't going to do it yet, but change colors is down at the bottom. This red background's kind of a raspberry, right? It's odd that the default palette is not primary colors. Really odd. Hey.
Hi, sorry.
No, it's okay. We just started. There's a handout up here. You don't have to sign in. So we're just messing around. Literally the first thing on Canva is backgrounds.
Okay.
I'm going to hit on this now, and I'll do it again later. If you click the block up here with the red in it, this drops down. You can change it manually right now to any of these. Again, I don't know why there's not primary colors. Like especially at my home group, I need red, right? So I have to create a red every single time. I wonder if I Googled it, I probably could save it. To make this a little more red, you click the plus now, and that opens up. So kind of cool. So not only can I move this manually, like what I think looks redder, then I can also drag this to get a little darker. Cool thing about that is once you go to do something else in your picture, let me just bring in something for fun so I can mess with it. If I were going to write something, I just want you to see, when I go to change the color of that black writing, that red is saved up there. So pretty neat, right? So you can keep the same color tone. So I don't have to mess and build it again. Okay, so that was all just backgrounds. Let's talk about images for a minute. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. Obviously you can delete. There's a trash can here. I'm going to delete everything. I just highlight it and delete. And just stay white here for a minute. Alright, images. Down here under uploads, it'd be odd if you had these same choices in yours. It sometimes scares me. I open it up and it's like everybody's head. You can upload any of your own images. So again, go back to Googling, saving. If you want to put your own headshot, obviously in there, that's great. The picture of the home that you have listed, you can bring all those in. They also have 1 million images in Canva.
Wow.
Again though, they're corny when they're free. Like if you put in house, let's put in house. You're better off Googling. So these top ones say $1. See how they're kind of corny, they're cartoony. But maybe sometimes that's what you're looking for, but then a lot of these say $1. Well, this one's free. But obviously you want something that goes with your life, not a blue doored house. So images up here I don't normally use. Back to uploads, I would use something in here, a picture of my own house. Let me see if we have a house. There. Again, now it has the 4 corners on it. Obviously this is when you can shrink it, spread it, move it, okay? To move it, I'm just going to put my cursor in the middle. It creates a little, do you see that shape? That means I can move it. Also, I believe, let's try it, my little cursor is in the middle. If I just click, and then I can use my arrow button, you can nudge easier. So there's an option too, because sometimes you just want to move it a hair, just a little bit. Okay, so we have our house in there. Images, not many questions on images, right? Either save them or bring them in from Canva. But you might get stuck with that $1 charge. Let's do text. So we're gonna make a flyer. I'm gonna make this house full size. I'm gonna put it on the top. Maybe cool if the background were gray. So I'm just gonna click background, solid colors. I don't know if that's hideous. I can't even pretend to use it. I just want to use something for fun. Okay, that's just as hideous. Just move along, Kelly. Seriously, when you're making flyers, you lose minutes of your life changing fonts and sizes. We're going to stick with aqua for no particular reason. Maybe red. I like that better. It matches the door. Ish. All right, maybe we don't like this shade of red. I'm only doing this now to show you again. I'm going to click up here. My old red is still there. Okay, I'm happy now. Now we're working on text. I click text on the left-hand side. 3 different sizes pop up. Okay? I don't see the point because I always change the size and font anyway, right? So just pick one and go with it. There's also all these things down here. These are just examples of all the same fonts you can change manually. So if you like Parmesan cheese as a font, let me bring it down. Oops. It's the same thing as me writing it manually and then scrolling down my choice of fonts for that scrolly kind of font. It must be called Parmesan cheese. I'm going to delete that. I usually, personally, do not use any of these examples at the bottom. They just kind of make, I don't know, if you're looking for a look like this word brunch is kind of cool, how it's like that rounded block letter, maybe that helps you visually to see what you want. A lot of these have other information in them. See if I click it, it's got these things underneath. I can delete, gosh, it won't drag. I can delete the stuff underneath and still use just brunch. But again, I feel like this is all way too much work. While we're in here, I'm going to write manually in just a minute, but I wanted you to see something. Can you see in this coloring, I don't know if you can, that I have a blinking cursor? It's right after the H?
Yeah.
Okay, that means I'm right now in the mode to change the letters. I mean, I know that sounds elementary, but if I click out of it and click back, I have, well, I guess I got it again. See how I got the cross right there to move it? If I go up a little more, I got the cursor. It's tricky and it's frustrating sometimes. You've got to get it in the right place. Like right now, if I want to move brunch, but I'm in here, it's not. It wants me to type. So I have to kind of, I'm just kind of going till I get that cross guy, and I hold it down. Now I can move it. Yeah, it's just, it's not, you know, rocket science. It's just frustrating with your hands, especially when you always hurry around. So now I'm in the mode to delete, and I can change it to my house. I hit enter. So there's that. So I go back to my house. I would prefer that in black. So up here, you see the white block. It's hard to see because it's white. I click that. The palette comes down. There's my red. I'm going to pick black. If I want a different shade of black, which is a very odd thing to say because there aren't any shades of black, I would press that down, remember? And I can mess with this, or I can bring it down just a little lighter. So there's like a nice dark gray. Cool? So let's go back to text at the top where it was the manual. I'll pick the big letters just so you can see better. My cursor's inside. And you just simply type 1, 2, 3. I'm on the wrong letters. I'm sitting crooked. Okay, 1, 2, 3 Main Street.
How do you get rid of one of those boxes? Like,
which boxes?
like if you wanted to take that whole box out from my house, let's just say.
Oh, I'm gonna click on it. It gets the rectangle around it. Now you can hit the trash can.
Oh, perfect. As long as it's highlighted then.
Yep. And be careful, it's another place when you're moving fast, or maybe this is just me, because it's how I operate. You're gonna be clicked on the, not what you think you're clicked on. And when you go to move it, you're moving the house. And you're like, I meant to move the words. There is an undo button. It's fabulous. Undo will do, you know, it does. The last thing that you just did, it will undo it. Because I can't tell you how many times I want to move Main Street, and then I do that. And you're like, so I just click undo, and it goes back. That's a handy thing. I should be taking notes of all the things that aren't on this handout that I'm mentioning. All right, 1, 2, 3 Main Street. Obviously, we want to move that down. I clicked on it. It's got a cursor. It's not ready to move, right? I'm just going to slide down until I get that cross. Now I can move it. And it's a bigger box because I had hit enter, so I just hit backspace. All right, we like it in white. I guess I thought we changed it to black. Did I not? Or gray? But you can't really see that. We'll leave it white. Don't like the font. Up here, you guys, font and size, right? You've done that in Word and everywhere else in your life. A billion choices. Okay? The ones that are bolded on here can be bolded. If they're not, they don't have a bold option. So if I pick this one, thin, I might have just lied. It has the bold option, huh? It didn't really do anything. It doesn't. The ones that are light, they're not going to let you change them. There, so it's not changing. So sometimes that's frustrating. So I had to learn the hard way. Actually, everything I know, I just learned from doing. And then once in a while I Google a hint, and then I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done that earlier. I was doing it the long way. So the bolder ones here are the ones that you can do in bold. Okay, so you can pick whatever font you want. Let's show you, when I'm in here, if I hit enter, obviously it goes to the next line. Okay, maybe I want my letters more spread out and my lines further apart. Kind of a cool feature up here in spacing. You can do both. Letter spacing, skinny, or just a little bit like that. And line height, I like a lot of times when I'm like, for me personally, or you guys too, if you're doing property details and you have a list and you have some more space to fill in, you can sort of make your list a little spreader apart, or you can squish it if you have to. So line height does that. So if I need them closer together, further apart. Kind of neat, huh? And at different times that would matter, and different times where it doesn't. And for me, sometimes with flyers, I probably do too much messing around because I want it to be perfect. In the old days, before I learned that feature, what I would do, because if I didn't like the space between the address and the city, so to speak, I would do 2 text boxes and manually move them to the height I wanted above one another, and then someone showed me, or I Googled that spacing one, and I was like, oh, that's so much easier. So there's that. So let me see, what else was I talking about with text options? So you got your bold, you got your color, you got your size, and you have your font and spacing. Not much more with words. Any questions? Okay. Seems pretty easy. Let's play with some elements. So elements over here on the left, there are a lot of them. I'm just showing you what I know and what I use. A popular one for me, and I love, is grids and frames and shapes, I guess. So grids is going to be a template. This table's shaking. Gosh.
I think it's someone walking upstairs.
Is it? Because I'm like not even moving. I know, it's kind of making me sick. If you wanted to do multiple property pictures or multiple somethings, these create the system to just drop pictures in. So let's just say we were going to do this one. Ignore that it's 3 long rectangles. It's just 3 things side by side. You can smush them into squares. So let's pick this one. I have all my dots so I can change it. See how I can change it into squares?
Cool.
It's very cool. Let's do this. And in my uploads, you're going to have all your different property pictures, right? So you just simply let them fall into the spots. So 1, 2, and 3. Now also down here, I didn't show you guys, this size blows up your work. That might be a little handy right now, huh? So let's just blow it up so you guys can see what I'm messing with. Oh, it's a little large. So see how cool that is? Now within each square, you can move the photo. So this one of the garage is probably a little too much cobblestone. I double clicked it. Now I can enlarge that picture within the square. Get it, like just the garage, right? And then you have to hit the check. Don't forget the check, because I used to get stuck on this and go like, how the heck do I get out of it? Check. Okay, this one a little too much floor, double click it, and enlarge it a little, move it down and over, check. So kind of neat, right? And then I use this a ton too, like if I'm doing an event with a panel, I can plug in the 4 people's heads. So it's just neat. They're there, again, before I was self-taught, I used to resize and eyeball it, all my pictures of my properties, until I learned that there were these elements. So kind of neat. You can enlarge now the whole thing. Oh, there's so many things I didn't put on the handout. Because if these were 3 separate images, you can also highlight them and hit group, which is up here. Or no, it's not, because I'm not on something you can group. And then that you can move those 3 together. So sometimes if you have like your headshot and your signature next to it, and you're like, you know what, I kind of want all that at the top, you can group it all by drawing a outline around it and then move that whole thing as a cluster. So you're not removing everything again. And not only can you draw a rectangle around it to hit group, which I'll show you in a minute, we'll do it. Here, let's do it with the address maybe. You can also hold down your shift or whatever key it is, whatever kind of computer you have. Oh, but this is all one thing. I'm going to move this down. I'm going to do another text block. And I'm going to say, that's exactly what I was going to say, but I'm going to use an O. I can't type sideways, I'm like crooked. Alright, so and I'm going to move that down. Okay, so now if you wanted to do, I could click open house, hold my shift key, and click this. See how it's all highlighted, and now the word group appeared. So either draw a rectangle around it, which gets tricky because when you're drawing, you may click one of your other images, now you're grouping everything. So I learned the hard way, you can just use the shift or on control or whatever on a PC. Now I hit group, and you understand, obviously, I can move all that. So that's pretty handy. You can also, let me click on it, ungroup, obviously, because then you might just want to change part of it. So pretty neat, and again, it's just all practice. So that's one element at the bottom with the triple homes. When I want to change out the pictures, I have to highlight the whole thing. When I hit the trash, don't worry, it says delete image or delete the whole element. So really if I wanted to delete one image, I guess I would have clicked, I guess it knows which one, because I clicked here, and then delete image. So if I had clicked here, delete image. Okay, but now I'm going to delete the whole element, just so we have space to play. So back to elements, that was a grid. Okay, so grids come in all shapes and sizes, and again, don't be fooled by the fact that it's big, huge, long rectangles. You can change them. But it's pretty neat. Okay, I'm going to click grids to get off of grids. Frames. When I use a frame, it is usually the circle. You know, people like their signature with their face in a circle. I use the circle one. Down here, you'd have to mess with these. I do not know why, nor have I ever cared to find out. Only one of these works the way I want to. I know it's not this one. Let me show you. I'm going to bring the circle in, move it down. I want to put my picture in there. It's not in there. It's weird. So let me see if I do it this way. Oh, I guess that did work. There's one of them where it just doesn't enter the circle and I don't know why, so I just choose the next one. This one has the dots around it. So I guess it's just a matter of trying it. I'm going to double click my picture. I'm too big. The whole screen's too big. I am going to reduce the size of me because no one needs that much. Kelly, oh, it's not even letting me? Oh God. I guess I can't make it smaller. I just can reposition it. So that's really the open house flyer you should send out. It's just the house and a picture of me. No? Sure. I'm just kidding. But the circle's a neat feature. It just gives you the aesthetic, pleasing look. So again, that was in elements and that was a frame. So let's get out of frames. Last one I'm going to show you.
It doesn't always let you drag the picture into the circle, is that right?
Yes.
It doesn't always.
Oh, there is one of those frames that's a circle for some reason. It still has that funky lime green background even when I drag a picture.
Oh.
I don't know why, and again, excuse me, I'm not a professional, so I didn't care. I just picked the next circle over and it works. And there's ones without the dotted line. That's just the first one I chose. There's a million of them. So again, you lose hours of your life, but you have a great looking graphic.
So if you were to cover a text box, is it just what's on the top that will show then? Like if you had a text behind there and you put your picture on there?
Excellent question. So I did have text on here, right? I did. It was the open house stuff, I believe.
Right.
This button, arrange, it's somewhere down. It's actually literally the last thing on here. Bring to front, move to back. If I hit back, oh. And then if you have multiple things on there, it's going to give you the choice to go back. Like say I had the address and I had the times and I had the whatever in 3 different places. It'll ask me to go back, to go back, to go back. Each time it'll bring another writing forward. Does that make sense? Because there's multiple things that it was over. Yeah, exactly.
And if you say no, it'll just remain the picture, correct?
Yep, it's behind there. I just covered it. Silly, so kind of cool. And now here I click the group of words, And let's move them down here. Let's make them smaller, right? You just sort of mess with that. Alright. So I think on, well, that was grids, that was frames. What else did I want to show you? Oh, shapes. So sometimes, like I told you, when I use a shape, I use it for reasons you probably never would, I don't think. There's been times where I have a flyer and it's not one I designed, it's someone else's, and I'm copying everything except maybe the date and time. I use a square or a rectangle literally to white out information. Make sense? So if everyone's nodding, you probably get it. I can just say, all right, this is an old one. I'm going to take this square, and I don't care what size it is because you can mess with it. I'm making it smaller, moving it down. I am now going to click on it. Oh, here's my white box. That's what color it is now. I'm going to make it red. Okay, and look. I'm literally, now I'm going to arrange it back. Oh, why did it go over there? That was weird, wasn't it? That was really weird. But see how I, in essence, whited out information?
That's cool.
Yes. I do it probably more than you guys would do it. And look, it's kind of, you'd have to mess with it. Well, actually, I can go off the screen because it wouldn't matter. Okay. But you get the idea. Why is it moving over there? I've never seen that in my life. That's really odd. But in a normal situation, I use a shape sometimes to hide something or change something. A more normal reason to use it would be, let's say, I'm going to click on my house and make it a little smaller and move it right here. Let's just get rid of my head. Too much of that. That whole thing. Let's see, a good looking flyer maybe. I'm making it here. I'm trying too hard. I'm going to click the square. Again, I always click the square because you can turn it into a rectangle or anything you want. And I am just going to create maybe like a text box. So it just has a cool flow. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't have the eye sometimes exactly, but now you have your house, maybe you have this white block, then maybe a black block at the bottom, just so it's aesthetically pleasing. So that's where I use shapes mainly. So to create little sections on a flyer. So it could be neat. Would I keep that white? Probably not. It doesn't really flow, but you know, you can change the color. So we just go up.
So if you wanted to drag it, well, never mind.
What?
If you wanted to drag a photo into that rectangle and have just fit the whole rectangle.
In here?
How do you do that? Yeah.
This would not have been a shape. It would have been the grid or the frame.
Oh, I see.
They're the ones that like will suck a picture into its exact shape. You know what I mean? This literally is just a background shape. I could pull a picture on top of it now, but it wouldn't just fit the space.
So which ones fit the space?
Up here on grids or frames. So if you do a single grid, let's try it.
But like
Yeah.
like the circle, like the way you put the picture in the circle, and it just automatically shrunk it into the circle.
I'm gonna make this smaller so we can see the whole thing. Let me get rid of this funky guy. So this was a grid I just brought in, but it looks like I have to keep it, oh no I don't. I can make it any shape I want. So now, if I have one of my photos, like Happy Thanksgiving, fits in there perfect. I double clicked it, I'm gonna drag it down and hit check. So this one was just a shape that I made, and this one was a grid, or a frame, I'm sorry. Well, I think they're the same. Well, no, because one will have an outside looking frame. The grid is just a, I don't even know what to call it, a shape that will bring in your picture. Does that make sense to everyone? And their help is wonderful. If you click help, like this is where I've clicked it many times. But it's neat that you can fit it right in there. All right, so let's get rid of some of this stuff. I should have deleted the whole thing. Let's go to, those were the elements, go to layouts. I am not a layout user. I'm just going to show you, let me get rid of everything on here. Layouts are just things that were created by someone else that you can take and then make changes to. So if you like any of these, happy hour, we all like that. Click it. I have that. Now I can go in, click on the words, change the font, change it to happy hour, change it, oh, happy hour, open house, change the times. I could probably change the blue color. It's just something to start with. I just clicked on the blue background. I got this. I can change it. So that's all a layout is. Tons of examples of something to start with. So here's even a letter replace. So I mean, you can take hours just perusing through to see all the examples. So kind of neat. But I always just start from scratch. Like that's kind of cool. Would you have thought to put the balloons up there? No. Could you change their colors? Probably. See how I clicked on the yellow one? Clicked on the red one? The blue one? You can change all the colors. But that would be a neat one to start with if you were having a party. So that's a layout. Okay, so let's, oh, I deleted the whole thing. I guess I'll just stay on here. Copy, rotate, resize images. Let's bring a picture in. Pancakes. Until somebody was making a breakfast flyer. When you have an image in here, let me enlarge this a little so you can see better. Down here, you've probably done this in other apps, right? If you're making a flyer, that might be cute. A little bit crooked, right? Balloons are always cute. Like anything when I'm doing a fun flyer, I tend to make things diagonal. It'll pop back into place. You also see that when let's see if it'll show me on here. When I'm moving it right and left, you see a vertical line appear when I hit dead center? See that? Pretty neat. And then if I were moving these words, it does it, boom. It'll also, like if you're bringing two things side by side, it'll show you when you're in alignment, which is nice. Okay, so with the picture that was rotate, I can also hit copy, because everybody wants 2 servings of pancakes, right? Cute. They match Happy Golden 28 Kate Ann, which is nice. And then just resizing is just, you guys know that, right? So again, just make sure you're highlighted what you want to move. And just keep highlighting. So those are just some features you can do with pictures. Any questions? Is it helpful so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is, let's see, it's everything at the top. Transparency. Let me create a background on here. Let's just do that. Okay. I like that background, but it'd be cool if it were faded out, right? So up here, let me click on the background. See this button? This is transparency. I can do this. Kind of cool. So that's neat. Sometimes you could put the whole picture of the house that you have listed in the background, but fade it out and put other things over it, maybe. My home group's logo sometimes on flyers, I'll have it real big, but faded in the background, and then the agenda of a class on top of it. So kind of neat, because bright, that was horrible. Faded, it might be kind of cool. Look what we're creating. What the heck is that, by the way? But I just wanted you to see the transparency. Changing colors, we already messed with. So we like the way that it's faded. Again, look, I'm clicked on pancakes. I want to be clicked on the background. Change colors, we've already talked. So I don't want blue. Let's do it in shades of this. Then I can hit the plus to mess with it further. Okay, so we've already covered that. Copy and duplicate design. So let's go back to my main screen. There's all your designs over here on the left. For instance, let me show you 2 ways to do it. If I open up my birthday file, I have copied it under it so I can mess with it but keep the original. Okay? And to do that, I just simply hit the double copy. So now I have Craig down here again. If I wanted to save the last Craig, I would, but normally I just would go in, click on Craig's face, sorry Craig, and hit delete image. We did that earlier, right? So that has nothing to do with duplicating the whole thing. I just want to show you that I probably would not duplicate that one. But you have the ability to drop them down and keep them in different variations. For me, this is very popular because like John Dyer's CE classes, he does the same 7 over and over. I have all 7 saved in a file, and I can use whichever one I want. When we are downloading to our computer, be careful if you hit download right now, it will probably want to do all 4 images, and it's kind of annoying, then you have a zip file. So when you hit download, and I'm moving ahead a little bit, you have the choice to do a picture or a PDF. Okay, so whichever one you prefer. Let's just say I want the picture, it's fine. Then it does say all pages or which one, so I just want page 4. And then when you hit download, it's on your computer. So cool. Another way to duplicate a picture, and that's all within one file, so when you're on here, you only see one of them. You don't have an idea that there's more of them. You also could click the drop down and say make a copy. If I do that, now I have 2 open things on here. If you ask me why one's better than the other, I do not know. I don't know. It's one's just a file, so to speak, and the other's visually 2 of them on here. So that's an option. But it's kind of neat to have the same thing, but just change it a little. But you guys, if you're doing property flyers and whatnot, you probably would just write over the last one every time, because why would you ever go back? You're not going to list it again anytime soon, right? So, or you can just keep copying them downward and moving forward like that. So that is copy and duplicating a design. Magic resize is neat. So I'm going to delete this guy. I drop down, move to trash. And this is the one we were messing with earlier. Let's get rid of that one for now. Let's say I created this, and this is in the size of a Facebook post, right? But now I want to do a Facebook ad. You can change it. So I'm going to click on this guy. I don't even know if I have to click on it. It's probably going to take the whole file. I should probably use one that doesn't have 4 things. Let me pick one that doesn't have 4 things. This is what we were staring at. This has multiple too, but I don't like the gray one, so we're going to throw it out. Okay, so now we just have 1 file in here. I don't know what size this is. This was the custom one that the intern made for the TVs. But now we want to make a Facebook ad out of it, okay? So that has to be a specific size. If I go to resize, all these choices come up. My only warning, and you probably won't remember this today, is it always defaults to these 3. So if you ignore that, and you just go down and you find your Facebook ad, it's going to make 4 more copies of this thing. So you kind of want to uncheck those. Let's pretend we're changing it to a Facebook post just because it's closer. Is that cool?
And
So
do you have the free version? Because if I do that, it's asking me to sign up.
I might not have just the free version,
Probably don't.
now that you mention it. I just don't know where the bill goes, so I don't pay attention. I think it's Mark's. If you want Mark's credit card, let me know.
Sure,
On the recording. Okay, so this was in whatever custom size. Now we want to turn it into a Facebook post, abracadabra. If I do pay, by the way, it's so minimal. And if you're using it a lot, it's worth it. There we go. So that is the size for a Facebook post. Then I would probably go in and, he's got it all separate, move things and expand things to fit the space. So it doesn't just make it fit the new size. You would have to move things around, but it brings all your stuff.
Can you select it all and then drag 1 corner of everything?
Remember what I did before? If I do this
Okay.
and hit group,
Okay.
now I can move the whole thing.
Oh, and then you can drag it.
Or I could like enlarge the
Yeah.
whole thing as a group, which I wouldn't, but yeah.
Got it.
And then remember, so that was, I'm going to ungroup. So I did that by making a big rectangle, or I could click every single thing and hold the shift key down and keep selecting every single thing. So if you go back to my home screen, I believe, I want to say that it should have saved the new size and the old size. Hopefully I didn't mess up his thing. I don't think I did. I have a lot of things open. Let's close some of these. Oh, there's the new one. Just not saved yet. Okay, I want to show you create folders. So on the home page, there's 2 places, you can do folders. First of all, my uploads, I have 1 million of them, right? You can create folders up here by clicking new folder. So if you click logos, this is as far as I've gotten. I don't know why there's a margarita in my logos. But in general, it's all logos. It's other people use my Canva account here at the company, so I swear. There's a sombrero too. I was obviously making a happy hour flyer. But you can create folders. So all I have are all my uploads or logos. But you guys could have all properties, all headshots, all, I don't think you'll have as much stuff as I do, but your uploads can be put into folders. Now on the first page of Canva, remember all these crazy things can be put in folders too. I just haven't done it. If you see over to the left, I don't know, it says load folders. I don't have any. Trash is my only folder. We had trouble loading your folders. Give it another go. No, it's cool. I don't have any. Maybe that's why it's saying load them. But if you guys wanted to put like all your property flyers into one folder and then all your Facebook ads into one folder, you can. Okay, so that's all on there. Sharing is pretty neat. Sharing is caring, right? When I'm on this page, see the share button? This would allow another Canva user to access this. So I use it a lot here in the company, especially with our other markets. The people in Washington, Prescott, Tucson, they want to make the same thing. I hit share, I put in their email address, and then what they'll see on their end when you open up is shared with you. So if I click shared with you, these are ones other people have sent me. So kind of neat. And they stay there. I wonder, you probably could move them, but for me, I always find the ones shared with me in my shared with me folder. but kind of neat that you can share. Also, on the first screen when you get on there, you have all your designs. I showed you that, but you probably can't see, it's like dark right here. It says search your designs. That helps me because I have a million and they're not in folders. So I'll put in Workshop Wednesday and it'll pop up, or I'll put in Taco Tequila Happy Hour, it'll pop up. So search is kind of neat too. And then bring to front, move to back, we already kind of looked at that. So we have covered almost everything on here, I believe. Like again, it's not rocket science, it's just neat, and the capabilities are fun. The important things, again, like doing the transparency, putting something on top of the other, and then bringing it to the forward, bringing it to the back is neat. Some of these things that you just don't know. Any questions for me?
I might have found something, because you were saying, because I struggled too with saving a color, and then every time I create a new one. So
it's great.
I just stumbled upon something. If you click on the Canva button,
Uh-huh.
and you go to your brand,
Uh-huh.
it gives you a bunch of options. Some are paid for, but like right there you can add a brand color, and I just like added whatever, so you can add the red that you always use.
And how do you access it later?
So watch, just save it. So click out of that once you're done. Now go to anything and touch a color. So like go to like one of your other, go there, touch like the podcast or whatever you want
Go
to.
to a different one.
But now it's like saved. I didn't know that it would do that.
Huh.
Oh well, in mine it says like your
Well, let
brand
me see,
color.
maybe because I did background. Let me do that and then try to change that. But those reds might already be the reds
Or
from,
maybe it's because it's unsaved or something. But
yeah, but no, I'll
maybe
mess
check
with that.
that. Yeah, maybe it hasn't reset yet. But I was like just messing around, and now I have like under the colors, it'll have another little line, and it
Yeah.
says your brand colors.
I bet I just didn't save it. But that would be neat if
Yeah.
I had the perfect My Home Group. And sometimes the one I
Yeah.
make looks nice till I print it and then it's a little bit cranberry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always what you see on here, but if I save the perfect one,
Yeah.
or I probably know the color code if I asked
Exactly.
our print
Yeah.
company.
But
Then I would
it
have
added
perfect.
like another line in my colors.
That's neat. So just something like I said, the cooler things I find and I use are on the handout. There's obviously more, there's tutorials, but you can do so much. Like why would you just put a picture of a property on Facebook when you can add your face, right?
Mhm.
Add the logo, which is the law, Put these things in there. And then once My Home Group's saved in your uploads, it's just that easy. And don't forget the little equal housing guys too.
Right.
So they're in my logos too.
Do you have to have those on the open house flyer?
Yes. So they're just, this is what I do. You do this, and just put it in there somewhere. Or you can put it on the phone, if this were your flyer, or something. It just has to be there. And just so you know, this is not a Canva thing, but at My Home Group, we have everything in different colors. So if you need the equal housing and all that in white, to see how it's not showing up, or you want my Home Group all white, My Home Group all silver, all gold, we have all that. So you are allowed to change the color of our logo, just not the shape and the configuration and everything. Because when you're doing a flyer, obviously certain colors pop better than other colors. And our red and gray, My Home Group is rough on a property usually, or a sky or something. So all black, all white is usually good. So that's really it in a nutshell, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other ideas of just like stuff? I mean, I created this. People wanted My Home Group with a black background, and I said, well, here's My Home Group with a black background. It was pretty easy, right? And here's an example of when I used that element with the 3 squares. I'm just trying to think of any other things I did that were cool. Like Wellness Wednesday, and we're about to plan another Wellness Wednesday, by the way, which is pretty cool. It's a play on Workshop Wednesday. Every class is nutrition, fitness, mindset, and everything's wellness. It's pretty cool. So I'm booking another one end of August, beginning of September. But when I made this logo, this picture of the 5 things was an image I found, and I believe it said wellness. And then Wednesday, I just tried to match it up the best with my own font. Just created it. Just little things. So I don't know what else I should say. If there's anything else cool to show you. I did the save the dates for my wedding.
Who do you think in the brokerage has really appealing open house flyers?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Or is it not, do you think it's that important?
Of course it is. But if you look on here, shared with you, I have some on here. If you were to order open house flyers from the brokerage, we offer them. It's me making them.
Mm-hmm.
And I use, why is all this happening? Canva is currently unable to handle this request. I have killed Canva. Anyway, you can see it from here. You know, as long as it's just the aesthetics of it,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want it too wordy. There's some that are very bad, but if you need
Yeah.
help, it's me, I guess, is the good one. I would help you with it. So I guess I can't open it. Like this one's pretty simple. It depends. I guarantee that we all, as the agents, put too much time into it. The person reading it does not care. They'll glance at it. It's like a house in the right neighborhood for a price. And everything else we put so much time into, the spacing and the fonts and the letters and the words. They don't care. So that is Canva, you guys. I'm going to turn off my recording, but feel free to talk to me.